Hi there, everyone. My name is Professor Lee Waters, and I'm so delighted to be partnering with Deckive to bring to you these strengths cards. Strengths for Kids and Teens are a deck of cards that are used with kids from the age of 9 to 19 to help them understand and learn about their own unique character strengths. What I love about Deckive is the interactivity of this platform to help young people start to learn about their strengths. So let's dive in a little bit about me as I'm starting to kind of showcase to you how Deckive works. I am a registered and accredited psychologist, have been for 27 years. I'm also a psychology researcher, and I've been a psychology researcher at the University of Melbourne for 25 years. I specialize in the science of positive psychology, and my mission is to help young people thrive. The particular evidence-based model that is utilised for these Strengths for Kids and Teens cards is called the VIA framework. So VIA is a framework that was developed 2 decades ago. It's been evidence-based, it's been validated in 52 countries across the world. And it's a beautiful, beautiful tool if you're a teacher, psychologist, social worker, counsellor, if you want to work in groups or one-on-one, you can utilise this Deckive tool and start to get young kids, upper elementary, upper primary school, middle school, high school kids, to start to explore character strengths, to look at what their own character strengths are, and to look at what the character strengths of their friends, teachers, families, sports coaches, and so on. And Deckive is such a fun, interactive platform. It allows you to do this as a group. You don't all have to be in the one place at the one time. So if you're doing remote learning, or you can be in the one place at the one time if you want to. There's lots of different things you can do with this. So zooming in, zooming out. You can take a card and say, for example, I'd like to know more about appreciation of beauty and excellence. What does that strength mean? In that case, we flip it over. And when we flip it over, we get a definition of what appreciation of beauty and excellence means. We can zoom it out. Zoom it in, we can relocate it, we can bring strengths over here. There's lots of things that can happen. And I'm just showing you as I'm doing it, but imagine if you've got a whole class and all of your students are doing it at the same time. There's lots of different ways in which you can utilize this Deckive. Go through and have a look at all the different strengths. You'll see here that I've used really age appropriate, mainly photography of teenage kids and young kids. So they're really starting to see, what does this look like in action, and they can relate to it. If you utilize these cards, I've also given you a bunch of suggestions for in the classroom how you can utilize these, or if you're a parent in the family. So let's have a look at a few of those now, shall we? For example, let's go into, you can create different pages. So you can see the 1, 2, 3 down the bottom here. These are different pages that I've created. So here's a way of using Deckive in a history class, for example, and setting up the question. One of the beautiful things is, as well as kind of bringing across the cards, you can also bring across notes. So as the teacher, I've brought across this earlier note. It's a history class, and I've asked the students, set up this Deckive and said, compare the strengths of Cleopatra to Caesar. And so the students will pile on and start to bring in across, for example, Cleopatra. They'd say, well, look, they both have leadership. Cleopatra had appreciation of beauty and excellence. She also had self-regulation. Caesar had bravery, he had perseverance, he had honesty, for example. So this is a great way of, you can use this in English, you can use it in English literature, you can use it in film studies, you can use it in history, you can use it in humanities, you can use it in art to sort of explore what are the character strengths of famous artists and what was it that allowed them to produce such amazing art. So it's a really lovely teaching tool for you to use. There's lots of things, as the students are bringing the cards across, then they tag across their own little note and they explain why. This is why I think Cleopatra showed leadership. They can play with the size of the notes. They can go in and say, that yellow, that's a little bit boringly. I really want to use hot pink on my note. So they can play around with that. So that's an example of where you can use the Deckive, particularly around some curriculum and some academic disciplines and areas. You might use it in more of a kind of mentoring, pastoral care, tutor time, to bring students in and have a look at particular strengths or things that are coming up. So, for example, here I've just posed the question, what strengths do you need for upcoming exams? And this would be just a lovely 10-minute conversation for students to have. They can be in the room together, or they can be remote learning, and students will bring in all sorts of things that they think they need for exams. So students have said, for example, here, I need prudence and they've given a comment to set up a study schedule and to clean my desk. It looks like a bomb hit it. I need perspective because I'm going to aim to do well, but I also need to know that if I don't do as well as I want on this one exam, it's not the end of the world. Another student across here has brought in perseverance, and he's going to use his perseverance to keep studying even when he doesn't want to. This student over here brought in the card hope that I do okay and plan for this outcome. So I'm only showing you as one person, but you can imagine how interactive this is when you've got a class of 20, 25 students who are all having this very beautiful digital conversation around strengths. So you can do that in terms of what you need strengths for. You can pull in a strength of the month and get students to pull in their text boxes of how they're going to use that strength. It's also a lovely way of bonding students together. So you can use it for students' birthdays. You have a calendar of your students' birthdays. It's James's birthday today, so you simply just set up the DeckEye, send out the link to all your students, and they go in and populate, and they drag together all the different cards that they see of Will, of James, Zest, fairness, and forgiveness, for example. And you can see here that, again, this is one that has been prepared earlier. So each of the students have called in the different strengths that they see in James. You can also ask them to add a little comment. So bring in a sticky note and say, oh, I can't grab the sticky note. Here you go, new note. So James, this is why I think that you use this. And so the beauty about that is, again, play with it in all different ways. You can move it across, you can move it down. I'm still having fun learning how to use all of this. And so what happens then at the end is that you can print this off and you create this beautiful birthday card, birthday wishes for James, and James gets to see that his friends, a lot of his friends see humour in him. You can see most of it, humour. Like a lot of his friends have dragged the card humour. Quite a lot of his friends have also dragged the card social intelligence and humility. So really, really quick, easy way of acknowledging your students' birthdays and at the same time helping them to understand what their strengths are and helping his friends to engage in the technique of strength spotting. So many other ways that you can use this beautiful, beautiful platform. And if you purchase the Strengths for Kids and Teens cards, I have a whole PDF of all different ways that you can utilize it as a learning tool, as a bonding tool, as a strengths literacy and digital literacy tool. Again, this is a perfect tool for teachers, but it's also a really, really great tool for sports coaches, orchestra coaches, theatre coaches. It's a fantastic tool for parents to use with their own kids at home. And if you don't want to use it in a group environment like I've shown you, but more for a one-on-one session with a student, it's a really, really strength-based tool for school counsellors, psychologists, social workers, and so on. So that's it from me. I hope that I have piqued your curiosity and you come and check out DeckEye. It's really a fantastic tool to help bring the science of positive psychology to young people in a very interactive and digital way. Thanks, everyone.